I love this map.
Hi, everybody. Look at all the mats out there. See, oh, Kathleen, I thought yours was one, but it's a snare and a
It
delete.
is.
Oh, it
Yeah.
is? Oh, I
Oh,
didn't
yeah.
see the feet. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. I'm not sure I'm going to get one. I'm just telling you right now. I'm not sure. I'm not sure yet. I haven't decided. Do you love it? Tell me about it. Tell me what
I
you
love it.
what do you love about it?
I do love it, but it's fragile in that if you happen to own a dog and the dog walks over it, you end up with nail imprints, just little divots. They don't go all the way through, but anyway, it is fragile from that perspective.
Gotcha.
I wish they hadn't folded it when they shipped it
Oh.
because it gets a wrinkle that's very hard to get out.
Okay. I don't know.
The wrinkle
pretty
isn't a big deal, though. I mean,
I'm
It's-
pretty
it's-
sure Emiko ironed hers. Emiko, yours looks perfect. Like, what's going on here? What's your secret?
I didn't have a problem with it. What I did is I just did like a yoga practice on top of it, a lot of laying down, restorative yoga, and just the weight of me for an hour flattened it out. So
There you go. Lay down on it, ladies. That's all you need to do. Just lay down. All right. So we've got a very sort of ADHD kind of map here. It's going to be a lot of stand up, sit down, fight, fight, fight. It is storming so miserably outside right now. I'm so happy to be inside with all of you. That's why I'm in like my long pants and everything. So we're going to hit, I don't even know if we're going to get through this whole thing. This is like, I just put like some madness up here. I'm not going to do, you don't need your ball, but I would, if we are going to do side hip hero, so find a wall. And we're just going to see how we do this. I took Patricia's recommendations. We're going to do a little shin today. I probably won't take my socks off. I don't know. So we'll see how this goes. This should be fun, but we're going to start with a rest assess. Can you guys hear me well with the mic? So if I talk low like this, you could still hear me pretty well. Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. So go ahead and lay on your wrinkled mat.
Oh, I forgot my water.
All right. I got to mute you all and I'm going to spotlight myself. And we are going to, and hopefully Carrie makes it. I sent her the link, by golly. All right. So tune on in. Let's just do a quick check-in. Y'all are savvy melters. You don't need me to guide you through the minutia of a rest assess, but let's just see how we feel today. Let me talk about myself as I usually do in a rest assess. I will say if I get the melt map, I won't have Humphrey's hair all over it to show. So just laying down immediately, the first thing I sense is my freaking tailbone. So I've got some work to do. So just tune into the shoulder girdle. We're going to be working all of it today. So tune into the shoulder girdle. Notice how your arms are resting. Are they twisted this morning? Does your head feel offset? Do you feel like you're just propped up on the shoulder blades? Notice your curve. Is it lumbary or is it mid-backy? Notice your pelvis. Is it on bone or is it butt cheeks, backs of thighs? Notice how your legs are on the floor. Are you outwardly rotated too much? Are you inwardly rotated too much? Do you have your toes pointed away? What does it look like for you, or a combination of the two? Go ahead and turn your head from left to right, just noticing your neck turn. My neck actually feels pretty good today. I did a bunch of hand and foot the last couple of days. I'm actually surprised it feels good because I did 5 hours of massage and then I got to supervise student clinic. So tune into your autopilot. Notice if you feel uneven from left to right. I definitely feel like I'm sliding off to the left. So notice where it feels off for you. And then as I always love to do is, take a nice deep breath on into your body. Just sensing and feeling your breath today. And, if it's been a tough week, notice if that's living in your diaphragm, because we're going to set that baby free, which is good. So especially good if you end up sobbing in the middle of the class in all the good ways. So let's go ahead onto our side. Come on up. I want to start with a rebalance with a little length, more of like an assessment, but also just to kind of, it's like the Latin of melt, right? Of all the melt moves, rebalance is like the Mac Daddy, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and do that. We're just gonna cruise on down. Oh, just making sure you're on all the way. And once you're there, get into your gentle rocking. And I know I don't have to tell you all this, but it's just, I love this moment because it's an opportunity to really appreciate the fact that you have a neurological system that is always supporting, protecting, and stabilizing you. So when we talk about the autopilot, it's not just your core, right? It's not just that. It's not just your autonomic nervous system. It's the entire fascial matrix that is the autopilot. And it's remarkable how it's always jumping into action to support, protect, and stabilize you. You're not just falling on the ground, right? So the other thing, obviously, we want to make sure we give ourselves enough time to let the spine adapt to the pressure of the roller. And also, it's just a great way to immediately quiet the stress reflex. So for those people with disruptions in their enteric nervous system, this is something they should be doing every freaking day. Let's come on back to a center point, placing the hands on the front of the pelvis. Let's do our tuck and tilt. And just notice how your differentiation is today. Remember, you could be as savvy of all melters and have a day where your tuck and tilt is total crap. And that's because it is the center of gravity. It is pretty much a neurological center station. So when we say center of gravity, yes, but it's part of that, neurofascial system. So if you've had a really bad day, if you're just off, you haven't slept, maybe you're just a little bit in pain, the sucker is going to be hard to differentiate. So find your spot in the middle, and let's just do a quick breakdown of the diaphragm because we can. Hand on the chest, one on the belly, and just take some time to breathe into the front and back of your body, just finding depth. Like I said, we've got a big map today. That's why it's a mega map, duh. And it's going to be up and down and challenging us in all sorts of ways. So go ahead and slide your hands over to the sides of your ribs. Let's find the width in our diaphragm. Remember, there's no right or wrong way to do this. You're just influencing movement of the diaphragm and just thinking about it. You're just thinking about breathing. And then go ahead and slide a hand on the pubic bone and the other one on the collarbone. And let's take a breath into the length of our diaphragm. So you're breathing down and up in equal timing. I like to think about breathing down more than up. That's me. I like to think about my diaphragm going down and massaging my organs. That's especially good if you have any kind of abdominal cramping or constipation. It's just a good thing to think about. And then let's place our hands on the small of our belly, and we're going to put it all together and find our core. So you pick your sound, your sh or ha. Allowing gravity and breath to find it for you. There's really nothing to do. Try it again with another sound if you want to try shake it up and do a different sound. Remembering that as you exhale, it's not that you have to push or do anything. You're just forcing the air through your teeth to get different vibrational communication to your entire fascial web, but really to get that reflexive core to respond. And again, it's just gravity and breath, and there's nothing else we need to do. So the last one I want you to do without a sound, just let your natural exhalation go. And just feel and follow, and go back in and try your tuck and tilt again. So if it felt a bit wonky before, notice if it feels a little bit easier to find now that you found your core. And then go into that neutral. And let's just do a quick check-in with some upper body length here. So we're going to start with our shoulder blade reach, remembering if you're way up above your shoulders, you want to angle them down to make sure the fingertips are sort of shooting laser beams over your knees. And we're going to go ahead into our glide here. Noticing as you do, Are you able to keep everything stable? So that's really the key here. What is staying stable? Not so much what's moving, but once you think you've got that locked down, which I do, my ribs, my pelvis, everything's locked in. I'm noticing my shoulder blades and feeling. Again, I'm kind of shocked by this, because I worked a very long day yesterday. My shoulder blades are gliding beautifully along my rib wall today, but I do find that my right one is a little delayed. So notice if that's what's happening to you. Remember, this is neuromuscular instability. It's not about, muscles so much being tight, right? We talk about that a lot, but that's more about neuromuscular instability and misfiring. So let's let those shoulder blades get heavy, and we'll just go into a single arm reach and just notice how that feels for you today. I'm starting with my right arm over my head and then switching. So I don't let my forearms get beyond my forehead. And I'll say that I feel tension in my right shoulder, and my left, oddly, doesn't have the range of motion. I normally don't have that. So, now I'm seeing where my long day of work has caught up with me. So this is an opportunity for you to see what is it that's tripping you up here. So turn this into a arm circles. So you have both arms going around above the torso. You're coming up like shoulder blade reach, length arms. You pause when your forearms get above your forehead and keep that level as you arc around with soft elbows. Just noticing if you're able to do that with any snapping, cracking, popping, clicking, thunking, audible sounds, physical sensations. And are you still able to keep all those masses heavy? Okay, that's the assessment. Let's slide on off that roller and do a quick recheck in with our rest assess now that we did that little intro to the day. And that's just like the warm up, right? So for some people, that would be enough and you could go on with your day because you feel pretty good. So just doing that, I'm like on my butt cheeks now. My ribs have come down. My arms feel more balanced. My shoulder girdle is calmed down. Backs of thighs are down. My legs are stable. And if I turn my head from left to right, what's hilarious is that now I feel like I have tension in the left side of my neck, but probably because I'm sitting here chatting to all you people. You people. It's always such an aggressive phrase. I don't mean it that way. All right, so let's get to work. We're going to get on our side, push ourselves up to sitting. If you want to take in a sip of water, now's the time. And we're going to stand on up. And we're going to do a quick little standing assessment and use our very favorite releve to check things out. Let's see, did Carrie make it on? There's Carrie. Hi, honey bunny. Yay. Fresh from her Zentangle training. She's going to be a Zentangle teacher because, running the entire Melt Empire isn't enough work for her. Okay, so go ahead and stand and let's just check in with everything we got. So putting your feet side by side, arms down at your sides. I want you to close your eyes and just tune into your footprint. I'm just going to raise this up a little bit more. There we go. Okay. So just notice if you feel uneven from left to right. Maybe doing that little rebalance sequence actually made you feel more stable on your feet than you usually do. And also just as you cruise on up your legs, notice if you're locking out your knees, squeezing your butt cheeks, clenching any muscles in your legs. Notice your toes too. Are you like gripping the toes on the floor? And just soften all that. And notice if you kind of shift into a new normal, that's called being more stable. So that's a beautiful thing. Notice how your arms are resting at your sides. I still feel a little twisty in my torso a little bit. Not as even with the thumbs touching my thighs. So just notice that for you. Go ahead and open your eyes. That's enough for a nice little check-in. And let's check in with our releve. So if you remember with the releve, we want to resist the urge to pitch forward and go up. So I want you to think with your new melt map. Now we've got Carrie, we got like 5 of you with your new melt map. Put your feet on those feet. And I want you to think about pushing that mat outward a little bit as you then have this. So once you do that, you might feel a nice little engagement in your lateral hips. I want you to really notice that because it's going to shift as we go through this sequence. Think about the tailbone slightly floating, and you're just going to think about going out to come up. So it's like a reverse toe rinse, right? As you come on up, you're going pinky to big toe, and you're going to pause at the top Now you're going to come on back down. We're going to do that 3 more times. This is just an assessment. We're just checking it out, making sure you're not locking out those knees either, or trying to pitch forward or swinging your hips forward, right? So we come on up and we pause at the top. You don't have to go super tippy toe. You're just seeing if you can get a little bit of mobility here and back down. We're going to do that 2 more times. So you're thinking pushing out to come up. It's like you're spreading that mat apart, coming on up, pausing, and then coming back down. So again, if you have your feet on the feet of your mat, you want to try to push that footprint apart as you come out to come up, and you're going to pause at the top. And just for fun, let's go for the pattern because we're here. We're going to go down and up for 1, down and up for 2, down and up for 3, down and up for 4. Hold it. And then we're going to come on down. And notice where that felt for you. If you felt like that was just locked in the lower calves or even the middle calves, but notice if you felt like you started to get a little bit of a creep going up the back of the leg, which is great. We tend to feel that more when we're doing the single releve, but notice that for you. We're going back down on the floor. You ready for this one? I told you it was going to be like the ADD class. Okay, so we're going to start with shin because Patricia requested it. It's all Patricia's fault. So we're just going to get into our quadruped position here, right at the top of the shin, just below the knee on the tibial plateau. I just want you to pitter pat back and forth. It's like you're just giving your nervous system a minute to understand what's going on, and your shins are like, hey, whoa, what's going on? Okay, so then I want you to take your right angle, cross it over the left, and you're just gonna you're gonna start to just shimmy on over the top, but then I want you to shove your booty off to the left as you go down that shin, and I want you to make little circles with your ankle as you do it, coming all the way down. As you do, your booty starts to kind of fall down as your knees come forward. And then you're going to shift onto the front of this thigh, and you're going to shift, and you're going to windshield wipe all the way up to the top. And then we're going to switch legs. We're going to go over to the right shin. You're going to cross the left ankle over. And I like to do that little windshield wipery thing right at the top here at the tibial plateau. It just feels nice. You got a tendon that attaches all the quadricep muscles there. But shift over to the right. You're going to wiggle your ankles. You go down the outside of the shin, letting the knees come forward. The booty goes back. And when you get down to just above the ankle, that's when you're going to come on the front of the shin. You're going to do your windshield wipers going all the way up. Beautiful. So we're going to go back over to the left so we can rinse it. You're going to go down the outside, come on up the front. And it's that same thing. You want to think as you're coming forward, the booty's kind of folding down. You're just collapsing and folding in on yourself and pushing back up. We're going to do that 1 more time. You're going to fold on in, and you're going to push on back up. Switch sides. We like to get in and get out. So you're going to kind of collapse down and go up the front. You're going to go down the side. Come on up the front. Last time, we're going to go down the side. Come on up the front, and let's get onto the front of our thighs. So you can just make that transition, getting onto the forearms, and we're going to be at the top of the thigh here. So let's just start. Feet are on, toes are on the floor. I want you to think that it's almost like you're trying to collapse your knees in front of the roller so that the thighs are kind of on the front part of the roller. So your booty's up in the air a little bit. It's a goofy looking position, but it's the best thing to protect your back and to get the most out of this move. So shift your legs on over to the right and just check it out there. And if you find anything you want to work on, just go ahead and bend and straighten the knee. I like to keep my foot flexed as I do this. And I'm just going to do it on each side because why not, right? And then we're going to shimmy back over to the center and go over to the left and do the same thing. So a lot of tissue in here to work through. This is a great opportunity, especially at this part by the knee, to really resolve some issues that are not just in the knee, but you get kind of a little bit on that IT band, and we haven't even touched it yet, which will really help with the hip. And then come on back to center, and then do the little clicking of Dorothy right in the center, and wait. And let's move up to another spot about the middle of the thigh. We're going to do the same thing. So you're just doing a nice little glide here. We're going to shift over to the right to glide. And you might even think about doing some little swirly bits. And again, you really want to think like my knees are kind of grazing the floor here. So maybe that's what's happening with you. Always making sure those toes are on the floor. We don't want to compromise our low back. So maybe do a little shear here. Yes. And then the other leg. And then we're going to work our way over. The stopping, pausing, and waiting, I do right there on the front of the thigh. Because remember, even though we like to have that sort of precision, be like, but I'm sharing here, I should stop and pause and wait here. You got to remember it's all one piece, right? So it's not that you'll do it wrong if you just decide to stop and pause and wait right in the center. Although one leg was stopping, pausing, waiting. So back in the center, you're going to click those heels and you're going to wait. All right, I'm going to shift over onto my left. So you want to think you're going to get onto that left forearm and slightly hinge yourself off to the left. And you probably don't have far to go, maybe up just about an inch, a quarter inch to get onto that spot, which is not quite the side and not quite the front. It's really, you're getting into your tensor fasciae lata in here. And this baby gets locked really short. This is hip's little helper. So we like to swirl around in here. It's probably super tender. Make sure you don't go right on top of that tender spot. Just get right off to the side, getting smaller and smaller here. And now we're going to shear it. If you can, flex the foot, bend and straighten the knee. Holy salami or something. Yeah, okay. Or put that foot down. See if you can rock forward and back or do a little cross friction. And then we're going to wait. That was a lot. Let's get all the way onto the side. Now you could take this top leg, bend the knee, and put the foot on the floor. And what I want you to think is just slightly go backwards, just a little bit. So you're a little more posterior here on the top of the IT band. If you want to do some swirly bits and get on the IT band itself, you may. But some of you might be like, that sucks. So just don't do it. There's no need to put yourself in pain. It's silly. So you're just doing some swirly bits here. Get a little bit of hydration, a little bit of gliding. If you're like, notice if there's a barrier. Amanda, the entire thing is a barrier. It is on me too. Flex that knee. Let's see, can you bend and straighten the knee? If not, just swing it like a pendulum. Or keep the pelvis still. And wait. All right, let's rinse it, shall we? So you want to drag it on down and turn on to the front, and we're going to go all the way up front. Now you can keep that top foot down. I like to put my feet and stack them on top of each other, going down the side and up the front. No hip rinse here. I'm doing the whole Magilla because we just did the whole leg. And down. And I'm going to do one more. I'm going to go down the side. I'm going to go up the front, and I'm going to switch sides. So if you rinse up, get onto the pubic bone, switch forearms, and then just get right onto that opposite side. And we're going to start with the glide on the left in that spot, that glorious, beautiful spot that hurts so good. We don't like to say the word hurt and melt, but you know what I mean. We're all professional, savvy melters here. We're instructors. We can say that. Oh, so just notice if one side is a little more tender than the other. It's just information. It's nothing to really read into. It's just something to tune into. Getting smaller and smaller in a spot that won't torture you. You want to see if you can bend and straighten that knee. Or you can rock forward and back or get a little cross friction on. And wait. And then we're going to go just posterior to the IT band, putting that top foot onto the floor and get in some glide here on the top of the IT band. Again, you can swirl around a little bit, just being mindful not to do something that really inflicts pain, and then get smaller and smaller. And I'll have you either bend and straighten your knee or think about just swinging it like a pendulum. And I guess you could do a little cross friction here too. That just seems like a lot to me. I just prefer the pendulum. And wait. And now we're going to rinse it. Same thing. You're going to drag it on down that side of the thigh to the top of the knee and then go on up the front. Down the side. Up the front, down the side, up the front. Last one, I want you to go down the side, slide on off, super quick check-in. Let's see what that did. And then we're going to stand on back up. That sequence brought to you by Patricia. It was her fault. So interesting. It's, I actually love doing that one, Patricia. I'm glad you suggested doing shins. So it's weird. I feel like my booty's kind of deflated a bit. Notice if it's actually, if doing that altered your neck turn in a positive way, it actually put a little bit of tension on there for me. Some of you might feel a little sore in your upper body from doing that. So let's make it more sore by doing some stuff as we stand. Come on back up. Okay, so this time we're going to grab our band. We're going to start with, we're just going to do a little shoulder floaty bit. We're going to do just to 90. That's all we're doing today. So I'm going to start on my right. I moved this a little too far. Sorry. Okay. So remember with this one, we want to make sure we keep that arm with a slight bit in front of the body, right? So as we do this one, it's not that your lateral raise is directly out to the side. It's got a slight anterior lift to it. So I'm placing my left foot at the edge, and I'm giving myself just a little bit wider than hip width so that I can do what I like to call the shift and lift. So I'm holding it in the opposite hand. Wherever my right hand goes down, that's where I'm going to grab the band. If that's too much for you, you can go ahead and take some slack, but you just want to make sure that you always have tension in the band. So never is it a wet noodle. You always want there to be some tension. So first, just get yourself set up for success here. You're not going to brace down. You're not, tucking your pelvis under. You want to find that nice little gentle float. Legs are relaxed, and you're just going to bring that arm on up to 45 degrees, and you're going to pause. Make sure that as you look down, it's not twisted or bent, and then you're going to bring it on back down. And we're going to do that 3 more times. So we still maintain tension in the band as we bring it on up to 45, and we pause and we hold, making sure we're not shrugging the shoulders, we're not side bending, we're not bending it, twisting at the forearm, not even locking out our elbow, and bring that on back down. We got 2 more here. So finding your core as you come on up, making sure your tailbone is still nice and lifted. You're not kind of jutting your ribs forward. You're just chilling out, man. You're just chilling out, and all you're doing is just lifting your arm. Let's try this one more time. So we're at 45 degrees. We're just checking it out. You can give it a little bouncy bounce if you want to. And then we're going to see if we can make it up to 90. Now, not everybody will be able to stay with the tension as it is, but if you can, you want to think about pulling it on up to 90. And if that's too much for you, I'm okay with you coming down and letting out maybe an inch of slack. But then you want to maintain the tension. So that's going to be, your arm's going to be a little bit more out in front of you. And then you're going to bring it on up to 90. And again, it's slightly in front of you. And back down. We got 2 more here before we go into the shift and the lift. So then you're going to bring it on up and you're going to pause. And again, there's no side bending. You're not shrugging the shoulder. The arm isn't snapping. And then you're coming on back down. We're going to do that 1 more time. If you are feeling this clear in your neck, I want you to drop the band and do it without the resistance, because you are not in the right pathway. Beautiful. We're going to come down. As we come down, I want you to shift your weight over to the left foot, and you're going to bring your hands to the center like you've got a top hat and a cane and you're about to sing Putting on the Ritz, just like in Young Frankenstein. And then we're going to shift and lift and bring it up to 90. And we're going to come back to the center. And we're going to shift and lift and come on up to 90. We're going to do that 2 more times. Shift and lift up to 90. And back. And last time, we're going to shift and lift. We're going to bring it back up to 90. And then we're going to pass off the band, and we're going to do it without the resistance. We're just getting our arms set up. We have some other things we're going to be doing here. Shifting and lifting. 2 more. We're going to bring it on up to really go in with the pattern here and hold it. Now just kind of keep your arm out here. We're going to see about floating it. You're going to float that imaginary helium balloon out to the front and then back out to the side. And now you're going to start to notice that your arm is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. And what the hell? There's nothing in your arm, but it is. It's very, very heavy. And once you're out to the side again, I want you to think about pushing that thing away, grabbing it and pulling it behind you. And you're going to push it. And I like putting flexion in my wrist to get a little length in the front of my arm, or on the front of my forearm there. And then 1 more time, we're going to push, grab and pull and let it go. And let's try it on the other side. So I find that I don't do this one enough. It is an important one to do. Again, I like this idea of giving yourself a little bit more width in your in your footprint here to help with the shift and lift. That's just something that I like to do. Get your band in order. Now, if you have a discrepancy in the shoulders, because you actually have a shoulder pathology, you know what to do as far as resistance. But once you're there, let's go ahead and bring that on up to 40 and just see if you've got a good little bit of bounce there, making sure that tailbone is still floating, and bring it back down. We're going to do that 3 more times. So we're just doing this to get a little bit of action going on, getting our supraspinatus and deltoid to cooperate. And that matters because those 2 muscles, really supraspinatus, which is part of the rotator cuff, I'm on number 3 here for 45 degrees and back down, is important for really stabilizing the humerus into the socket, which before we go doing any of the other things, we want to make sure we have. And back down. Now let's see if we can get it on up to 90 again. I am tall like statue. I am not moving, but just my arm is moving. So what is staying stable here for you? So notice if you have any discomfort in the shoulder, if that's too much, just ease up on that tension. I have a little bit of a pinch, so I'm giving myself a little grace here. And I'm going to go on up. Again, I had a long day of work yesterday. We're going to bring it on back down. We got 2 more here before the shift and lift. I'm going to come on up, pause, making sure that wrist is strong. You're not twisting in the forearm. That's cheating. And again, if it's in your neck, drop that band. Bring it on up to 90 and you're going to hold. And now we're going to do our shift over to the right this time. So you're going to get your top hat and your cane, and then we're going to shift and lift up to 90 and back. So you're tying in the arm to the hip and also contralateral movement here, which is important for everyday movement. Last one. We're going to shift. We're going to lift. We're going to hold it. But then we're going to come back, pass off the band, and we're going to do it without it. We're going to go into the pattern here, doing the shift and lift. And what's interesting is that usually my left arm is the stronger one, and that was like not pleasant for me. That one felt really difficult for me to do. So last one, we're going to go on out. We're going to hold it this time. We're going to bounce our imaginary balloon. And then we're going to go back out. We're going to do that one more time. Noticing how our arm gets heavier and heavier. It's now like 900 pounds. Go back out. And then we're going to push that thing away from us. I like finding that little length there and pulling it back. It feels like double arm reach, but in a single arm, you know what I mean? Just in that forearm. I love that feeling. Last one. We're going to push it. We're going to grab it. We're going to pull it, and we're going to let it go. Brilliant. So put that out to the side, and let's move on to side hip hero. So I'm going to start on this, putting my left hip up against the wall, and I'm going to move this up a bit so we can be closer together. And I have an old roller, so this thing is going to have a total indentation by the end of this. All right, so we want to make sure we have that roller right in that sort of pocket in our hip. And you're going to put the hip up against the roller, up against the wall. Left foot is going to go completely against the wall. All right, this is how I like to sort of set it up. And then I'm going to micromanage from here. So I'm like a total mess. I got to square off my hips. And I want you to think ASIS are straight ahead. You got your 4-point square. Everything's facing forward. Your outside leg is most likely out too far. So I want you to think about moving it inward to the point where you feel like you're going to fall over. That's where you know you have it right. So I'm bringing it in. If I look down, I would say it looks like my big toe is in alignment with my inner thigh almost. That's kind of where I want you to be. All right, so once you're there, again, I want you to make sure you are square. No twisting in the torso. You don't want your hip all screwed up. You want that 4-point square. Feet are side by side. You have a nice tailbone lift. Sternum is also presenting itself forward. If you want to put your hands on your hips, you could do that. But what I want you to do right now is think about standing tall in that right foot. What does that mean? I just want you to think if you are going to find roots of that right foot into the floor, it's almost as if you grow up a little bit like a tree. You're going to think big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel. And immediately you might start to feel that outer hip starting to burn. But we haven't even started. But I'm already out of breath. So I want you to think about pushing ever so gently that left foot against the wall. And it's going to add a little bit more tension. Now, just think about scraping that side of that left foot up against the wall so the knee bends just a little bit. And again, make sure you're standing tall, big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel. And once you're there, you can keep a little bit of pressure of that left foot into the wall, and we're going to bend the right knee. And I want you to make sure it's not going out to the side, it's going straight down. And then I want you to think you're pushing straight up, but there's this idea that you're kind of pushing the hip up against the roller, up against the wall, but 4-point square remains standard. And we bend the knee. And then we're going to push back on up. Think about the triangle of that foot, and you're standing tall on that leg. 2 more, bending down, pushing up. And last one, we're going to bend on down, and we're going to push on up. So now I want you to remove the left foot away. You got that knee bent in front of you. You still have your 4-point square. You're going to have your hands on your hips for this time. And again, I want you to stand tall in that right foot. Big toe mound, outside the foot, center of the heel. You're going to let the inside hip, the left hip, drop down and get a little bit lazy. And now find your core as you push that hip up against the wall up against the wall and bring it back up to square. I'm going to clean that up now. Here we go. You're going to let that left hip drop down. So now you have more length on the left side, but then you're going to push the hip up against the roller, up against the wall to bring the hip back up to that 4-point square. We got 2 more here. Is your hip on fire yet? Mine is. And here we go. Pushing the hip back on up to square, standing tall in that right foot. Last one, we're going to bring it on down. And we're going to push. If you want to quit, you can, no big deal. But for the rest of us who want to continue, you're going to swing that left knee on up. Keep that tailbone floating as you then swing that leg back. And we're going to swing it on forward. And we're going to swing it on back. 2 more. We're going to swing it on forward and swing it on back. But this time we're going to swing it on forward. We're going to hold it here. Add-on challenge. You can quit. Cross your arms over your chest. And we are going to rotate toward the wall, but the pelvis is going to stay exactly where it's supposed to and back to center. And we're going to rotate outward. Holy crap, my ass. And back to center. Last one, we're going to rotate to the wall and back. Keep the pelvis where it is as you rotate outward. Come on back to center. Think about push, 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 and let it go. So if you did that one right, which I'm sure you did, this is like so on fire, you can't even believe it. So walk it off, walk it off. Amanda needs to walk it off. Holy crap. Let's do the other side. So if you had any doubts of where to put that roller before, you have no doubt now. We're going to do the other side. So the hip that just got worked is the one that's going up against the wall this time. And again, you just want to put that hip up against the roller, up against the wall, taking that right foot and sticking it right against the wall. Look down at your left and think about bringing it on in. But again, you've got to get yourself square. That is so important. That 4-point square, torso and hips are square toward the front of you. You've got the hip up against the roller, up against the wall. You got your foot down, big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel. Make sure that tailbone is floated. I want you to stand tall in that outside left leg. And I'm going to think about just pushing ever so gently the outside of my right foot up against the wall. Again, really make sure you are right. Looking down, making sure the foot is where you want it to be. Finding the big toe mound outside the foot, center of the heel, standing tall on that leg. We're going to scrape that foot up against the wall, just putting a little bit of pressure there. And we're going to start by bending that left knee. And then you're going to push into that footprint to come on back up, nice and tall. Again, there's no bending in the torso. It's like elevator down and elevator up. We got 2 more here. This is just really the prep, right? You're coming on down and then you're pushing on up. So you're not actively like trying to stick your booty out. Was that 4? 1 more? Bending and pushing on up. I don't know, I lost count. Okay, so let's remove the foot from the wall. You're bringing the knee on up. My hands are on my hips, standing tall. Yeah, you're thinking you've got that pressure, the hip up against the roller, up against the wall. And now you're going to let that right hip go lazy. And then you're going to push that hip up against the roller, up against the wall to bring it back up to square. If you need to actually map out your 4-point square with your fingers, go ahead and do that. You're going to let the right one go down. It gets longer, right? Left one gets shorter. And then you're going to push until it gets back up to square. Standing tall. We got 2 more. You're going to come on down. And you're going to push and bring it back on up to square. Oh my God. Last one. Here we go. You're going to bring that right hip down. and you're going to push it back on up to square. If you want to quit, go ahead and do it. The rest of us are going to continue. You're going to bring that right knee on up, and we're going to swing it back, keeping everything stable. Yeah, what is staying stable? Standing tall on that left leg and bring it back. Here we go again. You're going to swing that knee on up, and you're going to swing it back. And this time we're going to swing it on up. We're going to hold it there. Add-on challenge. You can quit right here if you want. Think about pushing that hip up against the roller, up against the walls. You cross your arms over your chest. You're going to rotate the torso toward the wall without shifting your pelvis and bringing it with you back to center. Same thing. We're going to go outwards. Keep that pelvis. Think about almost the left ASIS going in the opposite direction. Back to center. Last time. Going toward the wall. Back to center. Rotating outward. Back to center. Think about push, 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 and let it go. Yikes. So just for fun, kids, after doing all that, let's reassess your releve, shall we? Sorry, gotta readjust my camera here. I don't have a fancy studio. So getting back in your foot position, finding that tailbone lift, relaxing the arms down. Let's push those feet out and come on up to our releve. You might find that you are nailing it right now. And then come on back down. Let's try it again. Going out to come up. So ideally, we reestablish some shoulder girdle stability between the upper body length and the shoulder floats. And then we got the pelvis to reintegrate by doing side hip hero, and now releve feels pretty good. So just for fun, while we're up here, let's see if we can do an accordion fold. So the knees are going to come forward, hips are going to go back, and then you're going to think, without pitching forward, can you drop those heels down and then push yourself on back up? And if you heard that snap, that indeed were my ankles. Don't tell Sue. Come on up. I'm going to pause at the top. We're going to bend those knees, let the hips go back. Can you get that hip crease? And then send the heels down and push yourself back on up to standing. 2 more. Come on up. We're going to push. We're going to bend the knees down. Heels go down, push on back up. Last one, we're not going to do reintegration or repatterning. I mean, we're just going to stick with this one just to see how we do. And then stick those heels down and come on back up. Beautiful. Get back into a rest assess just for fun. Let's see how that did you. And then we're going to move on with everything else on the floor. That's the end of our standing exercises, kids. I hope that was fun. Okay. Well, I gotta say, my booty feels a little more lifted. I feel a little more bootylicious. I have way more rib contact on the floor, and I feel much more comfortable on the backs of my knuckles now. So notice if you feel the same. But really, from doing that one, if you were one of those ones whose thigh or whose legs were flopped open out to the side, notice if you get a little more integrity. If now it feels like the femur is cooperating a little bit better in the socket, if it feels like you're more on the outside, outer 1/3 portion of the heels and the calf. And then go ahead, turn your head from left to right. That actually did help out my neck a bit, which I love. And notice if that worked for you as well. Brilliant. Anything else, just take a couple of seconds to tune into that's calling out to you. I'm out of breath. I don't know why. That stuff makes me so out of breath in all the best ways. All right, so we're going to do a whole long sequence here that's got a lot of different parts. And I want to start with an upper body glide, shear, and rinse. But we're going to tuck in that that outer arm combo because I want to be able to hit the arm a little bit. So let's do rib length. Why not? So we're going to tuck our pelvis, put it down, curl on forward, making sure that the bottom edges of the shoulder blades are on the heel side of the roller, giving your neck permission to relax. Elbows are wide. Take a breath on in, and on your exhalation, let's go ahead and extend the ribs on top of the roller. And just notice, like, my back wants to crack so bad. Like I said, I had a long day hunching over people yesterday, and then curl on forward. Just notice your ability to extend your ribs on top of the roller. Again, extending, keeping the bottoms of the ribs anchored so that just the tops of the ribs are what move on top of the roller. Take a sip of air on in as you exhale and side bend over to the right. Just notice what you sense on the left. Yeah, I feel really stiff in my ribs today. I'm glad I added this one. It's not on my original map. Side bend over to the other side. And then just go back and forth one more time, just noticing for sure, if you feel like you side bend more to one side versus the other. I feel equally stiff on both, maybe stiffer. The right ribs are a little stiffer. Okay, so come on back to center. Let's bring those elbows together, lifting the pelvis up and bringing it toward the heels. And we're going to go into our upper back glide here. Remembering to keep the pelvis low to the ground with a nice little curl in the ribs. And you want to think about pushing the ribs into the front half of the roller here. Just really making it nice and easy. Head is still totally relaxed in the hands. You're just cradling it like a baby, right? You're just holding it like a baby in your arms and your hands. So find a spot where you want to shear. Get smaller and smaller, making sure, of course, we are not on a barrier. I'm going to tuck that pelvis midair, put it down on the floor and curl forward in my ribs and get a little side bend in here just to twist the flesh and shear my upper back. Oh, I could have done this at 10:30 last night, but I didn't. I had a gummy and I doom scrolled and fell asleep. That's what I did. And then we're going to stop. We're going to pause. We're going to wait. Let's hit another spot here. So adjust your feet as needed and then move on down just a couple inches. So you're really like, when I do this one now, gliding, I'm kind of going just below the bottom edge of the shoulder blade and just above it. So that's kind of my intention there. And while we're here, just lift that one of the elbows up to the ceiling, doesn't matter to me, and get a little inner shoulder blade glide if you want to kind of cruise all around. I like kind of swirling all around here, and then come on back to center. And same thing, reaching toward the ceiling. I'm now reaching with my right elbow. I've got some gunkety gunk in there, so I'm just swirling about. So we're not going to do the precision of each spot and shearing. We're just going to come back to the center and get smaller and smaller. Going to curl the pelvis, put it back down. Oh, sorry, I'm traveling. And then same thing, let's do our shear here. So really making sure that we're curled in the ribs so that we can get the spine presented onto the roller. And wait. All right, so I want you to come all the way onto your side, and we're just going to get onto that combo spot of the outer arm, outer shoulder blade and the arm. I love this little combo. It's just a quick down and dirty. You even feel a little bit on the ribs, which is nice. So again, if you might find that you've got some lumpy bumpies going on in here and you just want to check it out. And if you want to, you can take that elbow away and just get onto that outer shoulder blade if you feel called to do it. And then you want to think about opening and closing the elbow here and waiting. But then I'm going to glide again on my upper arm a little bit here. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to do the Amanda thing, not a melt thing where I'm just going to cross friction on my deltoid. You'll be happy you did, and wait. And then let's do the same thing on the other side. You're just kind of flop on your side here and do your little fetal position gliding combo situation here. I feel less gunky on this side, which is nice to sense. And I'm going to just send that elbow away, pull it away from the roller, and just get more on that outer shoulder blade. And then do my shear here, opening and closing the elbow. And then putting the forearm back. But then I'm going to get more onto the deltoid here and glide a little bit again. And then I'm going to do some cross friction. And I'm going to wait. All right, let's just do some rinsing since we're here, yeah? So come on back to center. We're going to bring the pelvis to the heels. You're going to have your hands, your elbows in close to your head. Take a breath on in. On the exhalation, you want to make sure you're already curled in the ribs. Pelvis is low, and all you're going to do is steamroll down the spine. There's no need to curl more if you're already curled in the beginning. Without yanking the head, let's do it 2 more times. Breath on in. Exhale. Steamroll down that spine. One more time. Brilliant. And do a little recheck of that rib length, see if you got any improvement in there. Yeah, it just feels easier for me to do. Like, I just think of this idea of cracking an egg on top of the roller, like, but that's a weird example, but you're just extending only the top part of the ribs. Side bending over to each side, just notice I definitely got the stiffness out of my ribs. And we didn't even do rib glide, which if we had added that, might have been even more profound. So if I go back over to the, yeah, I'm still a little stiff in that right rib, but that's okay. All right. So now we're going back for the money. We're going back for the hard stuff. So we're going to do quadruped arm fans. Scared Carrie away. She left. It was side hip hero. Center a running. I'm just kidding. I'm sure she got a life. All right, so I've got actually she's in the middle of doing a really fun course. So we're gonna do quadruped arm fans. I want you to use your logo as a guide. By the way, I hate these. I hate quadruped arm fans, and I'm in a fight with you for making me do them. Just kidding. So you want to make sure hopefully you can get in this position, but you're just getting in a nice little quadruped position. We're going to start with the hands together on the band. And where I want you to think is you've got the elbows on your side of the roller. And I want you to think they're dropping a little bit, right? But you want to think that you're trying to find that J pose, right? And when you do that, you're going to get some integrity or flare of the shoulder blades. And the intention is to really find that shoulder girdle position. And once you're there, again, the pinkies are kind of lightly touching. You're going to take a breath on in, keep everything nice and strong. On your exhale, I want you to see if you can pull the band apart to parallel and hold it. And then bring it on back. Torture. Okay, I'm going to give myself a little bit of slack because I stink at these. All right, same thing. I want you to find your J pose, and then you're going to open the arms to parallel, and you're going to pause, making sure you're not bending at the wrist, and then bring it on back. We're not shrugging the shoulders. You're not letting the upper back collapse. 2 more. Breath on in, exhale. Find your J pose as you open the arms to parallel, and you're going to hold it. And then back. Last time. Here we go. Breath on in, exhale. Find your J pose and open to parallel and hold it. Okay, relax that for a second. Now you want to have your arms parallel with, tension, but not full tension in the band, just like with standing arm fans, right? So we're going to see if we can go into external rotation here. So same thing, find that J pose, and we're going to open up to external rotation and wait. And back to parallel and wait. 3 more for reintegration. Breath on in. Every time you're going to kind of find that J pose again, open it up and pause. And then back. 2 more. Breath on in. Exhale. Open up. Oh, geez, God, help me. And back. Last one. Here we go. Find your J pose and open it up. And back to parallel. Now let's go for the pattern. Here we go. You're going to go out and in for 1. Out and in for 2, out and in for 3. Don't forget that J pose. Out and in for 4, and let it go. And see if you can do that same pattern without the band in your hand, going all the way into internal rotation. And you're going to find there's not a lot of external rotation. So if you felt like you couldn't do it, cheer on, because with the arms in this position, you can't really, and let that go. And just for fun, while we're here, let's do a little diagonal arm reach because that felt really good. So I'm on my right arm, I'm doing my diagonal reach, and I'm going to fall forward, bowing down straight forward. And then I'm going to pause when I get to my end feel. I'm going to use my left hand to push my butt cheek off my heel, and I'm going to reach a little bit further. And once you're there, I want you to keep your gaze slightly forward. Take a breath in. Reach and find that length from pinky all the way down to the hip. 1 more breath. And then I want you to put your butt cheeks back on your heels, and you're going to unbow. And let's do the other side. So you're going to put the roller at a diagonal across the right. I have my right hand down. I'm going to karate chop my left arm, and I'm going to start to bow forward. And when I get to the point where my shoulder can't go anymore, I'm going to use my right hand to push my butt cheek off my heels, and I'm going to fall forward a little bit more, reaching. If you need to make a micro adjustment with the arm, that's fine. Keeping your gaze forward, breath on in, exhale, find the length from the pinky all the way down to the hip. One more breath. And then put those butt cheeks back on and unbow. Let's sit on top of the roller. Keep your band close by. We are not done with that band. We're going to do more fun stuff. But I thought we could start with a seated leg lift. We did the front of thighs, so why not, right? Now I need a half roller. So actually, for those of you who are hyperextenders, you might want to grab a half roller for this one to put underneath your calves. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't think of that until now. All right, so I've got my calves on the roller. So for this one, you've got to be sitting on a full roller. You can't be on a performance roller. You're going to miss the whole part where you have to have your arms out wide and you're going to push up tall. So we're going to think about pushing up tall. The feet are going to be flexed, right? I mean, we're going to work the right one first, but I want you to get that idea that if you flex those ankles, you've got some good tension on the backs of your legs. If you push up tall and then hinge forward, you're really going to feel some work on the back of the leg, some good tension. That's a good thing. We're going to do the right one first. So I'm going to let the right or the left leg go a little soft. And I'm really flexing this right. And I'm thinking about flexing that heel. And I'm also, for me, I'm going to give it a little external rotation in that right leg. Take a breath on in. You really want to think you're pushing and you're hinging forward. That right hip is going to drop as you exhale, and you're going to reach that heel and you're going to lift it and hold it and then put it down. That was a lot of talk for one tiny move. Let's try it on the opposite side. Same thing. Let the right get kind of soft. You're going to flex the left. Make sure you're pushing into the roller. You're hinging forward to find that work on the back of the leg, that nice length. You're really flexing that left ankle. Breath on in. You want to think slight external rotation as you let that hip dip, and you're going to reach and lift and put it back down. If you're doing that one right, you're getting the work right in the center of the thigh. If you're feeling it in the hip crease, you might have to give a little extra external rotation. Think about that hip dropping into the roller. Let's try it one more time on each side. So pushing, hinging forward, my right foot is flexed. I give it a little external rotation. Inhale, exhale. I'm going to reach the heel while I'm sinking my right hip and lifting. I'm going to put it back down. One more time on the opposite side. So pushing, hinging, I'm flexing. I'm going to slightly externally rotate. Inhale, exhale. I'm going to reach that heel as I sink that hip and lift that leg. Don't fall backwards. Stay hinged. Oh, I got that one. Good. Oh, I got that one almost too good. Let's see if we could do a pattern on the right, shall we? So pushing up, hinging forward, flexing, external rotations. Think about sinking that right hip. As you exhale, reach and lift up for 1, down, up and down 2. Oh, Jesus, up and down 3. Last one, really reach and lift 4. Yeah, I got it that time. Right here in the center of the thigh. If you got that one, congratulations. Let's do it on the opposite side. Again, pushing up, hinging forward, flexing, slight external rotation. Think about that left hip sinking. As we inhale, exhale, reach and lift and down for 1. Reach and lift down for 2. Shit. Reach and lift down for 3. I can't do it. 1 more. 4. Good job. I had to quit. I don't do this one often enough. So yeah, if you did that one right, you've got like major activity going on there. All right. So we did quadruped arm fans, but I thought we could add now. So we've done super spinatus, right? So we got the rotator cuff to fire. We got more of the rotator cuff to fire. And now I want to get rear delt. So we're going to do straight arm extension here. So you're going to take your band and we're going to put it underneath our feet and do, oh no, I did it wrong. I always do this one wrong. You start over top of the foot and then wrap it around. You could do it the other way too. The other way works for me, but we're going to do it the way Sue says to do it. All right, so get your feet back out. So for this one, you still want that kind of hinge forward idea. you want to think about your sit bones being behind you on the back part of the roller. You're going to crisscross the band again. And I like to think about grabbing it about, I don't know, a third of the way down, maybe mid chin. And then you're going to bring the arms behind you, behind the roller. So you want to think about getting kind of wide. My thumbs are touching the roller. And my feet are just here to protect the band, but I'm standing up tall with a slight hinge forward. So I want you to think you're holding the band, but you're going to think about reaching the knuckles down toward the floor. And once you're there, then you're going to extend straight back and you're going to hold it. And then you're going to bring it back and let the thumbs touch the roller again. We're going to do that 3 more times. Breath on in, exhale, think knuckles down, extend on back, and hold. You're not going very far, just a couple inches. And then you're going to let the band pull your thumbs back to the roller. 2 more. Breath on in, exhale as you reach the knuckles down and extend on back, and you're going to hold. Some of you might find that you're getting a lot of work in your triceps. That's good. Come on back and wait. 1 more time. You're going to knuckle down, extend back, and you're going to hold it. And the thumbs are going to come back, and now we're going to go for the pattern. Here we go. Knuckles down, and we're going to go back and in for 1. Think knuckles down, back and in for 2. Knuckles down, back and in for 3. Knuckles down, back and in for 4. Add-on challenge. Here we go. We're going to go out into extension, and I want you to bring those arms in towards you and open them up. And you're going to bring them in towards you and open them up. 2 more. You're going to bring them in towards you, open them up. Last one. In towards you, open them up, but now bring them on in, and we're going to pulse for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, and let it go. How'd that go for you? I hope it went well. Oh, stay on top of the roller. I was like, I have compression down. I'm like, compression of what? I was trying to be savvy, and I meant seated compression. So we've been sitting there. Let's just rock over our sit bones for a minute. See what happens when I try to like shortcut. I don't even understand what I'm writing. All right, I want to do a little tail triangle glide. So let's go super wide, and we're going to tuck that pelvis and bring it on down. So we can do some nice little gliding here right on the sacrum. Oh, just allowing, if you're doing this one right, you're going to find that all the pressure of the sacrum's on top of the roller so that your feet are light and your hands are light. And then just tip your knees over to one side. I'm tipping over to the right, and I'm going to get right on my SI joint here. Do a little SI joint glide. And then come on back to center. We're going to do the same thing on the opposite side. We'll glide on that left. Beautiful. And then come on back up. We're going to go on over to the right. Hang on, someone's knocking on the door. Keep going. Hello? Oh, it's just packages. Sorry, everybody. All captured on recording. Isn't this great? I don't know what that is. So if you are still on that right butt cheek, by the way, my husband's sitting on the couch and did absolutely nothing to get up and answer the door, but don't tell anybody. Okay. So once you find that spot where you need to shear, go ahead and open and close the knee. Or extend that leg on out, and you want to roll over that hip. Or if you must do cross friction, make sure you're off of that, that sciatic nerve and go ahead and do it. And then wait. And then we're going to bring the right foot to the left, and I'm going to slide on down onto my forearm and get onto my side hip, which feels really nice after doing side hip hero. Which, as you notice, I still get the old name in there by using hip up against the roller, up against the wall with every freaking cue. I'm a dinosaur. All right, so find a spot to shear here. What I love about this is you could actually shear in a couple of spots for, so I'm going to let you all, you know, use your judgment with that, but I'm going to do all the clammy bit. I'm going to rock over the hip. And I'm going to find a couple places to do cross friction. That's where I really like this one, is that I'm a little bit more on the front, and then I'll go a little bit more toward the back for the cross friction. I'm going to wait. And then I'm going to switch sides. Same thing. Standing tall, but getting on that deep hip first. Ugh. That's not pain really. It's almost like I feel like like my poor butt cheeks have been ignored children for too long. I've just been kind of caught up in work and not really taking care of myself as much as I should. So find a spot to shear. I'm going to clam and extend that leg on out. And then getting off that sciatic nerve to get a little cross friction in. And waiting. And then I'm going to bring the left foot to the right foot and slide on down to that outer hip, getting on my forearm, and same thing. Finding a spot to shear, remembering that with this one, with the side hip, you've got options, which I love. So I'm going to start more toward my sacrum. And I'm going to start with clam. I'm going to extend that leg on out, and I'm going to rock over the hip. And then I'm going to get some cross friction here. And then we're going to wait. Now, since we're here, we're going to go right in the side plank. So, and again, you can thank Patricia for all of this. It's all her fault. So really make sure you've got a nice long line here. If you need to offset your feet, you can, if that's going to help you find some stability here. You want to make sure that your shoulder and your elbow are in alignment. And top hand can either go on your hip or you could put it out in front of you if that helps you. So you're going to take a breath on in. You're going to find your core. And then I want you to think you're going to start to lift that side hip. And I want you to think now elbow and feet are coming in toward the roller. Can you lift up a little higher? And then bring it on back down. We're going to do that 3 more times. Breath on in. Find your core. You want to lift as you push the forearm in. Don't think so much the elbow. And then can you bring the elbow and the feet toward the roller? It's more of an idea than a thing. Come up a little higher and back down. 2 more. Here we go. And lift. Think about pulling it all in toward the roller. Lift up a little higher and down. Last one. Here we go. You're going to pull it all in as you come on up. Can you think about pulling it all in again and coming up a little bit higher? Brilliant. Now we're going to go for the pattern. Here we go. You're going to tap and lift for 1, tap and lift for 2, tap and lift for 3, tap and lift for 4. Hold it and come on down. Right from here, we're going to go into hip side bend. So I want you to think about getting your bottom arm out. And as you do that, I want you to think you're lifting the ribs. Think about lifting the ribs toward the ceiling. Yes? You can bring that bottom knee on in, top leg on out, and you're going to bring the top arm over. Take a breath on in. I really want you to think you're lifting the ribs toward the ceiling. And if you can, think about getting the inner arch of the foot all the way onto the floor. 2 more breaths. Think about reaching the ribs and the hip toward the ceiling as you breathe. Last one. Brilliant. Arm comes in, leg comes in, and you're just going to kind of let it all hang out for a second. Let's do the other side. So I want you to sit on top of the roller, and then you're going to get into your spot. So as if you just did side hip, and you're going to have your forearm down. I have my leg out nice and straight. So you really got to make sure you might have to pick your booty up and get it out of the way. I've got both legs straight on top of each other. I've got a nice long line. I'm going to put my hand onto my hip. I'm making sure that my elbow is directly underneath my shoulder. Take a breath on in, find your core. As you push and lift, think about pushing more into the palm. So if you think about falling forward just a little bit, think about the elbow and the foot coming toward the rollers. You lift up a little bit higher, and then you're going to come on down. We're going to do that 3 more times. So almost think about coming forward a little bit so you're not just pushing all the way into your elbow. Breath on in, exhale as you push and lift, and think about pulling everything in toward the roller and see if you could come up a little higher and back down. 2 more. Breath on in, exhale, push and lift, pull it in, up a little higher and down. Last one for reintegration. Breath on in, so you push and you lift. Can you pull it all in? Come up a little higher. Let's go for the pattern. We're going to tap and lift for 1. We're going to tap and lift for 2. We're going to tap and lift for 3. Last one, tap and lift for 4. And then come on down. Brilliant. Okay, so I'm going to bend my bottom knee. I'm going to start to extend over the roller and lift my ribs. As I do it, my top leg is out. I'm going to bring my top arm over. So you really want to think you're reaching the ribs and the hips toward the ceiling. Almost think about coming toward or rocking forward just a little bit. Breath on in as you exhale and you find the length. And I forgot to add, I can't believe it, tuck the pelvis. Sorry about that, everybody. Breath on in. Shh. If you could get that inner arch onto the floor, 1 more breath. And then we're going to unwind it, bringing that arm in and bending in that knee. And you're just going to let everything hang out for a second here. Brilliant. Come on off. Let's just do a little rest reassess, see how that did us. So that's the first time I've cued that like that. So sorry for that being a little clumsy. I've never gone straight from side plank into hip side bend, but I thought it was worth a try. So notice what that did for you. That last bit kind of tweaked my right shoulder a little bit. So maybe after I might do a little, no, I won't need to because we got more stuff to do. Okay, so just notice what you feel here. Interesting, I feel my gluteal fold, which is kind of fun. And notice if you feel like your legs have more integrity, if now your shoulder girdle is nice and relaxed on the ground. I have a tiny little lumbar curve, which is amazing. I usually don't have that. Turn your head from left to right and see how your neck is doing. Some of that may have done a bit of a thing on you. All right, get that roller behind the thighs. We're going to start to cool it down here. That was a lot of work. That was good, though. Those are moves I need to do more of, and I don't. I only do them with you because y'all challenged me to do them. And then I give them a go, and I'm like, damn, that's hard. That's a good one to do. Yeah, that side plank is tough. There are different ways that you can modify to kind of bolster if you feel that you are too much of a pusher inner of the elbow. You can use props and towels and stuff to help you out with that one. Go ahead and stop and pause and wait. We're going to move the roller down to mid-thigh. Do the same thing. I want a leg at a time if you want to do that. And wait. And then we're going to move it down to one more spot just above the knee. It's a nice little sort of full circle after doing shin, front of thigh, and side thigh. It's nice to do this just to kind of close the loop around the entire fascia lata and the fascia around the leg. Remembering, of course, that it's all one piece anyway, right? I mean, we all began as single-celled organisms. There was never any separation, any structure in our entire body. Wait. And then let's just, if you want to do one leg at a time, go ahead. I'm going to keep just both calves on the roller as I do my glide here. And I'm just right in the middle of the gastroc, middle of the calf. I'm going to rock over to the right. Oh man, I feel some gunk in there. And I'm doing some swirls in here. I'm going to come on back to center and go over to the left and do some swirls over there. Yeah. And then I'm going to find a spot to shear. So I'm going to spend a little time here. I'm going to shift over to the right and I'm going to shear both. So I've got my right calf just before that outer thick tissue. and my inner is just in a little bit softer. So not on anything super tender. Maybe do a little cross friction here and wait. And then I'm going to shift over to the other side and do the same thing. So I'm just shifting over, finding a spot that doesn't feel gnarly. And I'm going to start by rotating my ankles and then doing a little cross friction. Beautiful. Let's go down to the lower calf just above the ankle and do that again. After doing that releve and accordion fold, just checking that out. And I could have added more releves in between all of what we did to notice the progression of the change, but I think just those two are pretty good. Let's get smaller and smaller here and go ahead and do a shear arm right here in the center. I just like to do the circles and the cross friction because rocking left to right just flips over tissue for me. Beautiful. So let's get this underneath our pelvis. We'll get a little SI joint shear in, which is nice to do after, you know, doing that little glide. It's like we prepared it for this very moment. So pick a side you want to start on. We'll do some circles here. Maybe let that one knee go. Letting the circles get bigger and bigger. And then go ahead and letting the knees march forward and back. I'm waiting. And then go on over to the other side, same thing. Making sure, of course, that our ribs stay nice and stable. If you find your ribs are moving all over the place, make those circles smaller. And then doing just that one leg. And then marching those knees forward and back. And wait. Let's come on to center, hands on the front of the thighs, straighten those elbows on out, relaxing the shoulders. We're going to do a little tuck and tilt challenge into low back decompress. So breath on in as you exhale, gently press the thighs into the hands and go into your tuck. Sip of air on in as you keep the thighs pressed into the hands as you untuck the pelvis. Little sip as you tuck again. Keeping the pressure of the thighs and the hands consistent and constant. Breath on in, exhale as you untuck the pelvis. Let's see if we could do it back and forth in one breath. And then we're going to keep it in the tilt, and we'll do 3 breaths to decompress our low back. So making those shoulders relax, breath on in. Exhale, thighs into the hands, pelvis heavy on top of the roller, ribs flare to the ground. Sip of air on in as you ease back your intention, 2 more breaths. And really get that sense of traction in the lumbar spine with every exhale, sinking of the ribs and sinking of the pelvis. Last breath. Feet are still slack to the butt cheeks, shoulders are relaxed. And let's just do a little lower body length. We'll start with a bent knee press. My left foot is down onto the floor, knee is in toward the midline, interlacing my fingers around my right shin or underneath the thigh. And then you want to make sure that the right butt cheek is reaching toward the left heel as you exhale, and then tuck your pelvis, draw the right knee in towards you, and feel that line of pull, thinking about the left knee reaching over the left toes, making sure you're still not hiking that hip. Ease back your intention, 1 more breath. Exhale, tucking the pelvis, increase that tuck a little bit more by pulling in the knee without hiking the hip, and don't let that outer knee go out to the side. Beautiful. Release your hands. Let's go right into hip to heel on the right side, flexing that right foot. You want to kick that leg low and long. Let the pelvis be heavy now, so heavy that the left foot is light, and then reach that heel as you bring it up toward the ceiling. Ribs stay stable. You're going to go as far as you can before your knee bends or your foot wants to go past the ceiling. You're going to take a breath on in, exhale. I want you to think you're sinking the pelvis, both pelvis, the entire thing into the roller as you're reaching that heel toward the ceiling. And I want you to think pubic bone is reaching away from you. It's just an idea more than a thing. 1 more breath. and put that down. Right foot down onto the floor, left knee comes in towards you, square off that hip. You want to make sure the right knee is in toward the midline, interlacing your fingers around your shin, breath on in. Exhale as you tuck the pelvis, draw that knee in towards you without hiking that hip. Right knee over right toes. Really feel that line of pull on the front of the thigh. Ease back your intention, one more breath. Exhale, tucking. Feeling that line of pull. Beautiful. Release your hands, flex your feet. Let that leg go low and long. Again, find the weight of the pelvis on top of the roller as you reach that heel and bring it on up toward the ceiling, keeping the ribs nice and heavy as well. So you're reaching that heel. And again, I want you to consciously think you're going to sink the pelvis so much so that the right foot is heavy, but the ribs have not moved. And now just think you're going to reach the pubic bone away from you. It's more of an idea than a thing. Breath on in. Sink the pelvis, reach the heel. Feel that line of pull from hip to heel. One more time. Brilliant. Release that. Come on down. Let's do a quick little check-in here. Let's see how we did. We have one more sequence, and then we're all set. But I want you to tune into your rest assess here. So what I love about that one is now my lumbar curve has more integrity. I really feel like it just got this nice little lift. It's the first thing I notice. I notice also I'm much more weighted on top of my pelvis here. And if I go on up, my shoulder girdle, I mean, I've got beautiful ribs on the floor. And I feel like instead of my shoulder blades feeling like they're in toward my spine, it feels like they've just relaxed. I'm easily on the outside of my knuckles as well. And if I turn my head from left to right, I have complete freedom in my neck, which is brilliant. Notice your autopilot too. Notice if that's come a little bit more back online. And what's interesting is some of you might find, at least I do, that from after doing that one from the length, I feel like my right leg has now flopped open a little bit to the side. It's slight, but I feel it there. So sometimes these micro things come back in. There's part of me that's like, maybe I should do some inner thigh lift, right? That's kind of the thing that's calling out to me. But let's do one more sequence. We're going to go back lengthwise on the roller because remember we did that upper body length, and I want to see if we have any changes here from doing that work that we did. So come on down. And of course, we always start with our gentle rocking. Maybe even marveling now if you notice a significant difference of support and oneness with this roller as you do your gentle rocking. Again, sometimes when we first get on here, it just feels uncoordinated and a little awkward, right? Coming on back to the center, hands on the front of the pelvis, reevaluating our tuck and our tilt. You might find that it is aces. It's like just exactly what it needs to be. Effortless, able to differentiate the pelvis from the legs and the torso. So finding your tuck, finding your tilt, relaxing in neutral. Just give me a couple of breaths in here. Find your core one more time because you can. Just really allowing gravity and breath to help you find that connection. And again, if you found that you had difficulty finding that tensioning in between the hip bones, again, you don't have to do anything. The breath will do it. But maybe you find that it's just connected a little better. One more time, maybe without a breath this time, or without a sound. Now let's reevaluate our shoulder blade reach. Noticing if it's just funny, my arms are so heavy now. My arms are about 80 pounds heavier than they were when we first did this. But I have to tell you, my masses feel nice and heavy, but my shoulder blades feel solid. Like it feels like they're even, they're solid. I'm going to reach up one more time. I'm going to allow the shoulder girdle to get heavy. And let's just do that single arm reach again. And just notice if now you have a little bit better range of motion. I'm still a little stuck on my left here a bit. I might have to do maybe a hand treatment as well. And then notice your arm circles, if that improved as well. Maybe it's not so snappy, cracky, poppy. Maybe you can open up that range of motion a little bit more. Maybe your torso is staying more stable doing this one. But while we're here, let's come around and arms are above the torso. So let's get them in position for double arm reach. So it's kind of like internally rotating in the shoulder a little bit, but then externally rotating the forearm. Yeah. So elbows are toward the floor, palms are kind of like saying hello to each other across the top of your torso, fingertips open wide. The shoulder blades are touching the roller right now, but then if I take a breath on in and I exhale, and I think about reaching around a giant ball, they're slightly going to separate from the roller, but I feel massive tension in the front of my arms. And if you think about slightly micro opening up those elbows just a little bit more, you'll get a little more tension. Breath in, exhale, floss the nerves. Flex and extend in opposition. Oh my God, that's delightful, especially after everything we just did. Flexing and extending in opposition. Making a fist and doing the same thing, still finding that tension, right? Reaching around that ball. And then open those palms wide. And then think about turning the whole hand and forearm toward the floor and floss the nerves this way. We're still reaching, we're still finding the tension from the shoulder girdle out to the hands. Make a fist and do the same thing. And then open those palms wide, bring them down to the floor, palms on the floor, shoulders relaxed, lift the face slightly toward the ceiling, glue the left palm on the floor, breath on in as you slightly gentle rock over to the right, pause, then tip your nose in your face. Feel that line of pull, take a breath on in. Find the length. And back to center. Same thing, other side. Glue the right palm as you gentle rock slightly over to the left. Feel the tension. It's going to stop you. Then you're going to tip the face over to the left. Breath on in. Exhale. Think about sinking the ribs and allowing the shoulder to be heavy to find that length. And then back to center. Palms facing the ceiling. Same thing. Back of the left hand stays glued as you gentle rock. The biceps going to stop you. And then tilt your face. You're going to feel that line of pull a little bit more. Oh, back to center. One more time. Back of the hand on the right. You're going to gentle rock over to the left. It's going to stop you, the tension. Then you're going to tip your face. You're going to feel that line of tension even more. Breath on in. Beautiful. Last time for shoulder blade reach. Notice if that was just a little bit better. Yeah, that kind of did it for me. And actually that actually improved my single arm reach. Oh my God. It's like night and day, just doing that little bit of length. Beautiful. Let's slide on off the roller for our final rest assessment. Arms and legs extended, palms facing the ceiling. That was a lot of work, but it was a good one. So notice where you were before. If you felt like your shoulder girdle was really out of whack, maybe your head was offset, your arms are internally rotated. If now everything feels a little more relaxed up top, turning your head from left to right. Notice if your neck feels more fluid. Mine does. Mine feels great. And then start to cruise on down, noticing if your ribs are more contacted with the ground, if you found a nice lumbar curve, if maybe now you're on butt cheeks instead of bone. Notice the backs of the thighs, if those made it down toward the floor. And if you feel now that you have a nice even weighting of your legs on the outer 1/3 portion of the calves and the heels. Tune into your autopilot, noticing if you feel more evenly weighted from left to right. And then take a nice deep breath on into your body, noticing how the breath enters and leaves your lungs. And then give yourself a hug, because that was a tough one. And then grab some water. Come on back to the camera and let's have a conversation. Oh, in front of my face. Kathleen, you raised your hand. Do you have a question? By all means. How'd that go? I can't hear you, darling. You got to unmute. Unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you go.
That was hard.
That
My
was
arms-
hard.
My arms feel like they weigh about 100 pounds apiece.
Yeah,
I'm not
just
kidding.
yeah, and just so you know, I did not practice that. Oh, Carrie wrote, happy Saturday, everyone. Good to see you all for a few minutes. I get, food before getting back to my training. Thanks, Amanda. That felt great. FYI, the footprints are not to stand on. The lines on the mat are behind the feet for the feet to line up. Okay. I don't know. I don't have the damn mat. So there you go. I just was trying to give a visual of pushing the feet apart. I just
Well,
got
again,
schooled.
again, I did 16 miles on the Peloton before this, so I'm gonna really be a hurting putt. Maybe it'll help. We'll see.
Can you not line your feet up, Tony? Let me see the feet on your mat. Well, you could still put your feet on them, and oh
You
yeah, it's a little
could.
too
You
far.
could. It's hip width apart.
Hip
It's
width apart.
Or
Yeah.
a little,
The lines on the mat that are behind the feet for the feet. to-
right.
Oh, I see.
That has, yeah, they have the big line in the middle and that's, but it's about the same.
Right. Well, whatever. It was just, I was trying to give an imagery. It wasn't really
Yeah.
for precision's sake. Like I said, I don't have the mat. Anyway, it's a cool mat though. I may have to get mine so I can look like a master trainer with my melt mat. So yeah, that was, Patricia, was that everything you wanted it to be in a bag of chips? Cause there were a lot of bags of chips in that one.
yeah, we're all gonna be talking about you, Patricia.
Yeah. It's all Patricia's fault.
I
When in
think-
doubt, blame Patricia Broom. Just kidding.
Thank you for doing my requests. I really, yeah, it's great. It's really nice. And I really like that when we were doing the hip length after the plank. Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to clean that up a little bit. My cueing was terrible with that, so I'm sorry. I should have rehearsed it before I did it with you all, but I was like, oh, I'll figure it out. It's not my first rodeo. That was
Well, it was good. I liked it. You're right there.
yeah,
That's
you're
a
right
great time
there.
to do it.
I'm not
Yeah.
sure though, if after doing it, because your legs, you know how your legs are straight out, if once you're done, that you should bring both knees in and then go down. I think that's probably a cleaner way to do it, but you're in the right spot for it. And the important thing with that is as you're coming down to really think about the ribs going up toward the ceiling, because that's the key. And then once you're there, then you can do the rest. So I definitely see where I could clean that up a little bit better. So
I don't think I had done that since I retook level 5 a year and a half ago, so.
right? I know, and it's but it's a good reminder to it because I think I told you all that when we were at Red Mountain, Carrie and I both said to Sue, we're like, we never do that move, and she's like, why? And we're like, it hurts, and she realized that she was like, okay, I think I'm just cueing it wrong. And when she was talking about it, I said, oh, okay, so it's the same as rib side bend. You're just moving the fulcrum. She's like, exactly. So if you think of it that way, it makes it a little bit easier to do that move. Who got improvement in the releve?
I was-
Yay. Yeah, that's always a good one. Quadruped arm fans. I just feel like a failure at that one. You like that one, Patricia? That one, it's just so hard. I feel like I'm not successful, even though I know I'm doing fine with it.
Why I like that one is because I think as you get older, you really start to lose the strength in your external rotators.
Yeah.
And that one really good. It's just so effective. And even if it's just like, barely, it's still, you really target what you need. It's so important for your shoulder strength.
For
I do
sure.
that though, sitting on the roller, because I mean, a lot of the people I am teaching right now, they can't stay on their knees like that, and they can't bend all the way down. So I just do it sitting on the roller with, going into the J pose against your thighs.
Right,
And-
right. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I like seated because it's a nice way to be able to see the room.
exactly.
It's just not always the most comfortable position for people, and then they tend to engage their hip flexors. So that's the downside of that one.
Yeah, but
But yeah, I hear
Mhm.
you. But remember that you get way more range of motion in external rotation with your arms down here. But then you bring your arms up and it starts to get a little harder. So when you're doing
Yeah.
quadruped, you're way up here and you're not supposed to have that much range of motion.
yeah.
And then when you're doing, the prayer bow,
Oh,
you're
right.
way up here, and
Yeah.
that's impossible. So that's the whole point. Straight arm extension and seated leg lift. Did anybody get the thing right in the middle of their thigh for seated leg lift? Oh, it's so good when you get it, even though it's like, and then did we do okay with straight arm extension? Anybody feel like they get a little crampy in the tricep when they do that?
I have a question on that one.
Mhm.
So when you were doing the pulse, is the pulse out or in, like towards?
You know, it's interesting. I've always seen, I think Sue does it inwards. I've done it
Inward.
both ways, to be honest.
Okay.
I think in either case, it's still a benefit as long as you've got the energized knuckles down. You know what I mean? Because what happens, well, at the beginning, because what you're doing is you're finding you're kind of, it's like a decompression to compression, like a lock to unlock kind of a thing, but the opposite. So when you reach the knuckles down, you're actually kind of getting a little space between the humerus and the socket. And then when you go to extend, it's the top of triceps is going to pull it back on in. And that's what we're reintegrating, is we're reintegrating the top of triceps to get stability of the humerus back into the glenohumeral joint.
Okay.
So yeah, so once you're back there, the pattern is just holding it there, and it almost doesn't matter if you keep going this way or in this way, because it doesn't matter. As long as it's in the socket, you're reintegrating that stability in the socket.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved the series. It went by fast because I think, because like you were calling it the ADD, but it flowed nicely from my perspective. I loved it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, it just seemed a little like I was going to start standing and then down and then back up and then and I was like, no, that's a little too crazy. So I thought that was enough. As I would like jokingly say, it's like Catholic Church, you know, stand up, sit down, right? It's like stand up, kneel and stand and sit and kneel and pray. And then get the body and the blood of Christ. So yeah, that's all I got. I think that that felt good in my body. I really needed that. I've been too much go, go, go and not melting enough for myself. So thank you all for keeping me honest. So you also, I have a mini map situation coming if you want that in next month. It's just 45 minutes. It'll probably be more length and compression than strength. I'll probably just throw in like maybe one move each just to kind of, if I can. To be quite honest, if one of my elderly clients joins, I'm going to probably make it more compression and length than strength anyway. So just kind of throwing that out there. So next week, send me your requests for our final one in this series. Maybe a little hover and lunge, plie squat, unless you want to do knee knockers. And if you want to do knee knockers, there's no plie squat. Okay. Knee knockers, Tony says. So if we do knee knockers, you know what else that means? Crossbow.
Yeah, that's
I
good
like-
too.
Yeah.
That's good too.
We could also do oblique, either oblique twist. No, we did that last class. So we'll do, yeah, we'll do rib curl and oblique curl. How's that sound? Okay, curl. Yay. And if you want to do any prone moves like straight leg extension, which I'm terrible at, but I'm game for giving it a go. Or assisted Superman, I'm terrible at that too. Okay, assisted Superman, let's just do that. Okay, yay! I got to remember all these and write them down. Thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. I'm going to do absolutely nothing because it's rainy and terrible, so I'm going to go take a shower.
I think you're getting part of Ophelia, aren't you?
I don't know. I don't
think so.
care. I'm just happy to be home and not have an agenda aside from seeing people I love right here on the Zoom squares. I'm going to take a shower, get in jammies, and I'm just going to read my book.
Good idea.
Lovely.
Yeah. All
Have
right,
a great
everyone.
Okay, thanks, Amanda.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.